Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and whenever you are. Welcome to the Community Live Stream. This is the show that takes a look at the community for ServiceNow, the ServiceNow community. Let's try that again. I know it's been a couple of weeks. I may have to be retrained on a couple of things. My name is Chuck Tomasi from ServiceNow. This is the show that lets you take a look at not only the answers in the community, but the thought process, the journey of discovery, the how we got to where we are as we find those answers together. So join me for the next hour or so as I dig into some new questions that have come up, some continuing discussions that have been around, and you get the idea. You know what? That is not the community behind me. We'll get to that in just a minute. This is the community, and I am going to make that very small so that if you subscribe to the YouTube channel, let's see if this is working today. It's been a couple of weeks. Oh, yes, we have both Twitch and YouTube reporting in. If you subscribe to the channel, you will get alerted. Make sure you turn those notifications on so that you find out when this live show is. It is at 1 p.m. UTC every day that I can make it happen. It has not happened for the last couple of weeks because I was traveling, and it has been a wonderful travel. And attended AWS reInvent in Las Vegas a couple of weeks ago. Saw lots of wonderful people there, great customers, great experiences, lots of nice interactions. Had a developer meetup in Las Vegas that Tuesday night, I believe it was the 27th, and then came home, turned around the next week, and went to Tampa for a Developer Days workshop. Great group of people there, lots of interaction, lots of discussion. We built an application, we built Integration Hub spokes, we did metric base, lots of good stuff. So that should be the last one for 2018. Look for more in Q1 coming in your area. We'll have some announcements on the events page that I'll get to in just a minute. So just wanted to catch you up on where things have been and why I haven't been on the air. In fact, Steve from Sweden emailed me and said, hope everything's all right. Everything was just fine. Everything was peachy dandy. So that is the latest news. If I get more stories, I'll let you know. Also, mentioning Steve pointed out, this is weird because after years, quite literally years of doing this live stream, he noticed there was a buzz or a hum in the audio feed. So if you go back to some of the previous videos, that should be corrected now. Little $50 USB gadget to isolate a ground loop. Who knew? I didn't even know it was there. So should be taken care of. Should notice. I'm always trying to improve things. So you should notice that the audio is a little crisper, a little cleaner. I do not have my YouTube thing up. I am out of practice. Wow. Let's do a refresh on this page. Make sure I'm on the right browser so that I'm not killing something else. And because I want to follow along with the chat. If you got hey, hi-ho, you want to say good morning like Carol R. or Shadi has done. Good morning, Victor. You people are wonderful. There are a number of you joining me on a daily basis, and I appreciate that greatly. If you can't watch, you can always go back to YouTube or Twitch to watch that recorded, as well as go to the archives. YouTube keeps them around. I put them in a playlist, and I put all of the information to where we are linking this. The community link to participate in the discussion. This will be posted back to the community so that any articles that we cover here, in fact, let's bring up the community link. If you've got more than just a hi, how are you, where are you from, what's the weather like, that you want to throw in the chat, or you've got some quick comment of, Chuck, you missed a semicolon, or that's not the way that I do it, throw something like that in the chat. But if you've got more in-depth question about mid-servers or scripting or whatever, put those in the community. That is a searchable repository that will be persistent, easy to find, easy for other people to access, easy to answer. So I don't mind the occasional question, but I want to make sure that other people find it as well in the community at community.servicenow.com. If you haven't been there, go and create yourself a free account. If you are new to the community, just a couple of quick guidelines. Got my tea at the ready. My voice is already starting to crack. And we had our Tampa Bay meetup at Carlton Fields. Ding! Here, plug for them. Yeah, that's the good stuff. A nice chamomile in the morning. Good morning, John. Good to see you. A couple of guidelines. I'm not going to go through all of them, but one question per post. keep it one post per question. I've seen people post the same question like 5 times in 5 different areas. Seems like a good idea if you want to broadcast your question. Bad idea if people are trying to answer it and find it later. So think of the end game, the long-term solution in this. You will get better visibility for people answering it. If it's in the wrong community, somebody will point it out and say, this may not be the optimal place to put it. But watch for the proper sub-forum, if you will. Good morning, Ibrahim from D.C. I want to get to D.C. again soon someday. If you've been around the community for a while, consider turning some of those posts or common questions into blog posts, maybe videos, so that others can benefit from those. I just looked in my inbox and I was glancing to see if there was anything critical I needed to get before the show started. And I noticed that a lot of them had, +5, people marking it helpful. And I appreciate that greatly. That also helps other people know. It's a bit like, Netflix movies or something of that nature where the social component adds value to the answer. People say, hey, that was valuable to me. And if 25 people find an answer helpful, that's a good indicator. A bit like Amazon ratings. If you're buying something, what is the consensus from the other people of how this actually went? So that's a little tip for the experts if you want to get into that. The next thing on the list is developer meetups, developer portal. I should get to the right page. There's our developer portal at developer.servicenow.com. Go get yourself a free personal developer instance if you haven't done that already. Go and check out the scripting APIs, the free learning plans, the meetups and other events that are out there on the events page. And if you are interested in more of that, then let's get that page up. You can find that over at meetup.com. There is a link that goes through to that. Meetup.com/pro/ServiceNow Dev Program is the link that you get for that. Pardon my glancing around. I'm making sure all the monitors in here are working as accordingly. The 50 chapters around the globe, over 13,000 people are part of this program and meetups. So join that. This is a developer community just for developers. You will not be getting preached to about performance analytics. You will not be talked to about SecOps. This is for developers to learn things about the platform, become more effective, share ideas. Like I said, we had a great meetup on the 27th in Las Vegas. Had another great meetup on the, what would that have been, the 4th? Tuesday the 4th, I think. This is the 10th. That would be the 4th. In Tampa Bay at Carlton Fields. Another plug for them. Thank you for this came last year. This is last year's mug. So it was a bit of, I know where we are. I recognize the name. I raise this glass every day. And appreciate it very much. Thank you, Mike, for the mug last year. The meetups that you find there, we've got, another one in December. It looks like they're trying to do one every month. BYOT for Salt Lake City on December 10th, December 13th in San Antonio. Another one on December 13th in Oklahoma City. I didn't even know we had a chapter in Oklahoma City, so kudos to you. Good job. Third one on December 13th in D.C. Shadi, you might want to see if you can get out, or Ibrahim, sorry, you might want to see if you can get out there. Andrew Barnes presents Flow Designer and Integration. He's going to Orlando on the 11th. Good. I knew that. I think he mentioned that on Live Coding Happy Hour. January, we're getting into January 8th in Minneapolis. Some people are planning ahead. So I don't have a date for the next Phoenix one, but I will let you know. Go over to meetup.com/pro/ServiceNow Dev Program and find out more information there. Let's get on with the pre-roll. Other things you can find in the events page, servicenow.com/events.html. You can find when those next snug meetings are if you want to participate in that. That's great. Other meetups, other types of events are there. I look there frequently because I can't remember when all these things are. If someone says, hey, when is our next blah, blah, blah? When's our next developer days? I go over there and type in developer days and see what comes up. And sometimes that's how I find my hotel. I can't remember where I went or where the next meetup is. That's a great place to keep tabs on other events that you may be interested in or other people in your organization, not just you as a developer. This is a series for developers and admins, but not exclusively. Where are we? The other thing I wanted to mention is Knowledge is coming up. Yes, go and register for Knowledge. Registration is open. This is still the early bird pricing. You can find that over at knowledge.servicenow.com. There is something wrong with that screenshot. It doesn't say knowledge.servicenow.com. I may have put that in before. I'm going to have to get a caption on there, but you could figure it out. knowledge.servicenow.com. Pretty intelligent people. I know you can get there. Encourage you to go sign up, check out the schedule. Speaker submissions. Speaker submissions are actually still open. So call for content has been extended to December 14th. It was originally December 7th, has been extended. So if you are still on the fence, if you've got an idea, go to the URL you see there, the servicenow-events.com/knowledge 2019 CFP, stands for call for papers. Although I haven't seen any papers yet. Everything's electronic. Go over there. Good morning, Brian from Maine. Good to see everybody tuning in. We're still going through the pre-roll here. And get those ideas in. I have 8 lab sessions or workshops for CreatorCon to build. I'm probably not going to build all of them personally, but I need to direct and orchestrate all that stuff. So it's going to be fun. Fun. A whole new track is being built out. We also have the Customer Success Center. Haven't mentioned this in a while. If you haven't been there, this is a great place to go no matter where you are on your journey through your ServiceNow evolution. Whether you're a brand new customer looking at how to implement a CMDB effectively with discovery or service mapping or whatever, or you've been around for a while and you're curious to best practices on upgrades, it's all there. Go check it out. New content being added all the time. ServiceNow.com/success is where you want to go. We do have a Tech Now webinar coming up tomorrow. I'm going to put my head away for just a little bit so you can find out. Our guest speaker is Matt Train down there in the lower right corner. He is going to be bringing us information about agent intelligence, our supervised machine learning that helps you categorize and assignment route faster so that you can get incidents or customer service cases or any record for that matter triaged quicker, get it into the right queue, get it to the right people, get it sorted and placed so that the right people can take action on it quicker. We're going to be going through both high-level information and implementation, looking at a dashboard, doing a live demo, and just kind of showing you around the block of what agent intelligence is all about. It's been out for about a year. We're actually overdue with this topic, and I thought since we were doing a series on some of the platform intelligence, we did virtual agent last month, we can do agent intelligence in December. Next month, we're going to be doing an introduction to mid-servers. So if you haven't done mid-servers before, look for that. I've just started the ball rolling on that whole process. That is going to be on January 29th, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Plenty of time to talk about that. There will be, I know that I took a couple of weeks off of this show to do some other work, and there will be some other breaks for the holiday, for some personal time, for our sales kickoff. So there's going to be these blocks of time where I'm off the air. It just means that something either personal or professional has come up, taken me away from home, or focused my attention on something else for the time being. But that's not the Tech Now topic that we see on the slide there. We do have, where am I going? GF, put my face back on the screen. Any code or script that we write today will be available on GitHub at the link you see there. That's the top level directory. The code will be sorted by folders, so if you see something today, it will be in 2018-12-10, and I will have a link in the community and on YouTube if it shows up there. So that will point directly to that daily link. Good morning, Rick. Good to see you. I believe I said good morning, Brian from Maine, but if I didn't, there is a catch-up. We have everybody in. You ready to rock and roll? I am. This is crazy amount of energy for a Monday morning. I don't know where this came from, but I'm going to ride it. There's no caffeine involved in this production. That's just a crazy thought to have. All right, let me look at anything that's unreplied, see what's come in overnight, see what's come in recently. 9 minutes ago, execution of catalog items in order guide. Let's take a look. I don't do order guides too often, and catalog isn't my strongest suit. My specialty is in custom applications, integrations, and the platform in general, so that I can help you build stronger applications, give you a general overview of what the platform has to offer, and then you can apply those to your daily job. So in a way, this is like getting me for a few minutes a day. Hi guys, I have an order guide with 10 catalog items. I want them to execute in an order one after the other. This has been answered before. I'm fairly certain the answer for this is on the community if I do a little searching. For example, a new employee allocation of desk location must be prior, and later allocation of computer catalog item must execute And if only computer was assigned to him, then program's installation catalog item must execute. I've already referred to this link below, but it is for 2 items, and if I want to use this, I have to write this run script after every catalog item. But in the future, I need to change the order of execution. I need to modify all the related workflows instead of this one. Do we have a solution, any other solution, or an efficient way to achieve this? It depends. If you're running those catalog items outside of the order guide, then you're going to have a challenge because they're going to have to run in 2 different contexts. One is, am I part of an order guide? And if so, which one? Because they could, catalog item can be applied individually, could be applied to an order guide, it could be applied to multiple order guides. That is going to drive your solution. If it's only coming from an order guide, then you could put up something like the workflow starts for this catalog item, but waits for perhaps an event to be triggered. And you could trigger that event on the conclusion of another catalog item. So understanding that the event not only just says, hey, here's the event name, but you also need to target which order guide it's associated with so that any children catalog items that go with that also know that they should be queued up. So hopefully, VJ, that will help if somebody wants to type that in. That's my idea for how to solve that is use an event trigger. If it's going to be triggered individually and from a catalog item, then you have to consider a different solution. Maybe the order guide field on that catalog item, or request item, I should say, put an order guide field that says, hey, I am tied to an order guide. And if the order guide is empty, then the workflow is smart enough to say, hey, there's an event. It's for me. I can start my workflow, but only start the workflow or only wait for that event if the order guide field is filled in. So there's a way to, there's always a way to do this stuff. There's always a way. You just have to think of what the conditions are for your particular solution. So I am going to make a note of that, and I'm going to ask a question first because I want to get the context of how they're doing this. Is this, let's make that a little bigger, are your catalog items exclusively being triggered by the order guide, or do you have situations where these same catalog items are being run independent? Hey, almost got it. Independent of the order guide, standalone. That's the first question I have. I always seem to have more questions than I do answers. As should you, if you are doing development or gathering requirements, listening to somebody saying, hey, we need this on a form, or we need our workflow to do this. Don't forget to ask why. That is probably one of the most valuable things you can do is understand what the problem is that they're trying to solve. Say, help me understand what we're trying to resolve here. Good morning, Carolyn. So that you can provide the best possible answer. If you blindly implement requirements, you are doing yourself, your future self, the people who come after you, and the person you are trying to service, you're doing them a disservice. So be sure to ask why. Why? All right, let's look at another one. I'm going to go through a few of these, and then I've got some topics that I've saved up recently to do that. Auto-populate the previous assessment details. Not big into assessments. I realize that is a weak spot of me in the platform. I do need to check into assessments and surveys a little stronger, particularly for something I'm considering working on. Guided tour fails on startup with Internet Explorer 11. I don't know too much about Internet Explorer. I don't even own a Windows machine, so not going to be able to help with that one. Maybe somebody can take a look. All right, let's take a look and see what the error is. It may not even be related. I always make assumptions based on the title, and that is a dangerous thing to do. Take a look, see what it says. Just made several simple guided tours on forums. Never had any issues with the test starting on Chrome. When anyone tries to start any of my tests in IE, update 11.095, a red box shows up on the screen saying, tour ended because the next step was not found. No settings I changed in the browser could affect the problem. I'm aware ServiceNow doesn't consider IE a modern browser, or IE 11, excuse me. According to Hi, changing isn't an option for me. Has anyone encountered this issue? Is there a workaround for this? You know what? I want to subscribe to that, and I can do that with, make sure I got the right key here, with this blue button up on top. I would like to continue to learn more to see what the answer or resolution is. Assuming I can keep up with my inbox. See how that goes. How to raise a request to retire a group without mentioning the alternate group. Okay, not sure what this alternate group is. How do I raise a request to retire a group without mentioning the alternate group? What is the alternate group? Can you help me understand what you mean by mentioning the alternate group? Question mark. What is the alternate group? Please. Oh, here we go. Do I have my macro thing running? I do. Can you provide some additional details on what you're trying to accomplish? Details, table names, catalog items are encouraged. Screenshots are always appreciated. Ching. Haven't been ringing the bell this morning. Sorry. Out of practice. Out of practice. Take a couple weeks off and you got to retrain the guy. I tell you. My personal instance is not getting up. Poke it with a stick. Dev 59088. Let's go see who's home. Dev 50988.servicenow.com. You can get your free personal developer instance at servicenow.com. Developer.servicenow.com. I see that it's awake. It's responding. Okay, let's get back to, this was about an hour ago. Looks like it's responding now. I was able to get to the login screen. I'm not sure what's going on with the cursor placement here. It looks okay now. I was able to get to the login screen. Make sure I got the right one. 59088. Just to verify. Sometimes I type numbers wrong. Nobody's told me in the chat. I had the wrong one. Okay, so it is not available. Did you put this in the instance help? Okay, let's take my comment out of there. It is not working. Denied. It is in instance help, so somebody will come along, Jack or Brad or whomever will come along and kick that and fix that. Not sure what happens. Sometimes when it goes through a patching cycle, crazy things happen. This is my personal developer instance, and I'm curious to see if we've been updated to the latest London. So I can go up here in this box, the application navigator menu, type stats.do, and hit enter, and it says you are running London patch 0. That's disappointing. London patch 3 is out. Come on, let's get going. First you get your developer instance early, and then it's stuck there. You can also find stats underneath system diagnostics, stats, same information. It eventually did become a module. I'm just an old habit-formed person, so that's the way I find out my stats. There is a tip for the day. If you didn't know how that worked, you can find out what your release is. There's another way you can find out real easy, and I believe it was just cursor and hold over here. No, it used to. Once upon a time, it used to say what your release is. Okay, so that's gone. Now it just says your instance thing. Home page. How do I enter actual benefit when offset type is start date of end date? I'm not even sure what that question means. Let's find out. I'm curious to see what the description is behind this. Hi all, how do I enter actual benefit on a benefit plan when the offset type is start date of end date? This is ITSM related. I don't even know what a benefit plan is. So I'm going to have to find that out. Avoid text hide in service portal view. Survey is not triggering. Service interruption. The instance is unavailable. I'll get to those in a little bit. How to assign iframe to select box. I am trying to update. I'm not skipping over these because I don't like you. I'm skipping over them because I don't believe I can provide any help with those. Disabling delete option while checkout. Seems like you would want somebody to delete. Imagine if you took the option off of Amazon to take something out of your cart. Okay, let's find out what the option is here. In order guide, I want to disable the delete option for one of the catalog items while checking out. How to implement this functionality. Can you provide some more detail on this? Can you provide some more detail on what you are trying to do? What is the business requirement requirement / use case, not a SUSE case, use case behind this technical requirement. I am having a hard time understanding. You know, I really wish I should turn on autocorrect, but then it would screw up all my scripting. Understanding why you would want to do this. Imagining a case where Amazon didn't let you remove something from a cart. Something from your cart. Ouch. Then again, I may not understand the full business requirement. Again, ask, why? Why do you want to do this? Of course, you'll ask a little more politely than that in your organization. You crazy people, what are you trying to do? Don't say that. That might get you ushered out the door. You get your security badge taken away, and there we go. All right, we have one in the inbox. Let me check. Keep the discussion going here. Somebody may have responded. This is the need to schedule a job, and I believe this is the author. Yes, it was. I've used the below script. It is not working here for me. That's a little tough for me to read. May I know how to join your community live stream video? Oh. Well, yes, you can. Community live stream. I need a bit.ly link for this thing. I never thought of that before. Because it's rather, I can't get over to that screen. Let's get the, I don't know where you're using that, but the community live stream can be found on YouTube at https. You know, I have to put this on the screen. I don't remember. It's user service now community? Yes. YouTube.com. Let's spell YouTube correctly. YouTube.com user service now community. I did not make that one up. I would have changed it if I had. Put the title away. I'm on the air right now. In fact, that was one of the things I was going to go do, is work on something on Flow Designer. So here is his requirement. There was his requirement. Let's try that again. So the question came in. I'm sorry, that was from before the show started. I apologize. The question was, I have a requirement to send notifications to requested for from a request item. So requested for is on the request, on the parent request record, when the request item state is occupied. So we've got these three tables. Request, which is on the table SC_request. We've got the child records of request items. So think of this as almost like a cart, and this is what you put in the cart. The table here is SC_rec_item. And then we have SC task, which is tasks for those request items underneath. So it's one, too many. Okay, that's kind of the way you put it. A lot of people don't quite grasp that when they first get into this whole thing, but if you put it in terms of cart and items and fulfillment of those items, you can get that grasp. That's why it's so powerful and so flexible. It's not just, here's something I want to order, because you can put the approval, for example, at the request level and say, you know what, I have bulk override to approve these or reject these or whatever. If you put them at the request item, then you've got line item veto to say, I've got a new hire. I'm repurposing an old laptop, so don't order them a new laptop, but I still need business cards. I still need a cubicle, et cetera, et cetera. So there's multiple ways to implement that for your, in this case, it wants to say, I want a notification to go out daily as long as it's in this occupied state. And after 3 days of sending the notification, the state should change to closed incomplete. I am going to work through that. And I suggested, my first thought was, hey, this is a scheduled job. And then I thought, no, we can do this with Flow Designer if you're using Kingston or later. So the needle's starting to swing for me over to more use cases for Flow Designer. And I encourage you to look the same. So back on my personal developer instance, I'm going to go to Flow Designer. No, first I want to go to request items. Let's see, not maintain items. Let's do items. It's going to be under service catalog, open records, items. And here it is, items. I have one whole item on here. And I want to add, was it 2 fields? 1 field. 1 field for a counter. How many times has this thing been reminded? You don't necessarily have to put this on the form. So let's go to Configure Form Designer, just because I'm going to put it on the form to show you what's going on. And let's create a new file of type integer. So over here, if you haven't seen Form Designer, it's been around for a while. It's pretty nice. I'm going to pick a new field type of type integer. I drag that out. I put that on here. And just under the watch list, I have this new integer field, which is a terrible field label and terrible field name. So I click the cog icon to open it up and type in, reminder count. Sounds like a better one. Reminder underscore count is the field name. The label, of course, can be translated to other languages, but the field name is immutable. Once it's set, it's set. You can't change it. So name your fields as good as possible. It's not a choice list, so I don't need to create any choices. There we are. Click Save. I probably should have given it a default value. That would have been nice. Was default value in there? And where did my field go? It just kind of disappeared on me. Let's go refresh this form, see what happened. Did it create it, or am I crazy? Again, I don't see it. Let's try form layout. Maybe I'll get a message about, hey, you're in the wrong scope, or something crazy like that. Nope. I can also create the field down here. Let's call this reminder count. Oh, reminder count field was just called reminder count. I've been playing around in scoped applications too much. I forgot the U underscore. This will create it with a U underscore for me. It is going to be an integer field, just a different way to do the same kind of thing. Add it, and I can put it on my form layout up here. It is shown up at the bottom. So if you imagine these splits and no splits as your right-left separators, use a little imagination, and you can do the form layout that way. Away we go. And I have my brand new reminder count. And if I say show, sure enough, it's reminder count. I screwed up. It didn't save the field because it wasn't a valid global field name. It says you can't do that. Your PDI is on patch 3. Okay, I'm going to have to look. Mine must be behind the times. Thank you. If I want to create a default value of 0, let's go to that and say configure dictionary. Just right click on the label, configure dictionary. And I am going to set a default value right there of big old null, nil, empty, no, false, true, gone. So back to items. I should now see a 0 in there. So that's setting up the data model to handle that. Of course, this one has an existing record. It's not going to change the default value. If I created the field when it happened, it would have. Let's save that. Now it's off to Flow Designer to build a logic around that table. And I do need to build a custom action for this. So pay attention. This is a whole 3 lines of script. Very, very easy. I'm going to go to Flow Designer. Flow Designer came out in Kingston about a year ago. It's up here. I'm too far down. And it gives you a very easy no-code way of creating workflows. The idea is that you can extend this out to your business analysts, your process owners, other people who don't consider themselves developers in the organization, and be able to create these workflows very, very easily. So I'm going to create a new flow. And I'm going to call this request reminder. Now, I don't have the state that he had of occupied. I'm not sure what that occupied state is. I will use a different state. Dun, 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 dun. I'll use open for the moment. Okay. So I give it a name and hit go. And up comes the Flow Designer palette. This allows me to do a couple of things. One, it's more, I think of these more as new and improved business rules than workflow. And I can have multiples of these, just like business rules on any given record. It has a trigger, which workflows do, but they're more subtle when you would like the workflow to start. This is more explicit. I want this to run. Now, a lot of people will do the created, updated, or updated, one of these first three. That is a very common thing to do. Down here we have scheduled. So scheduled daily, let's say at 7 a.m., I am going to set this trigger, and it's going to run this series of actions every day at 7 a.m. What's the action? First, I need to look up records. Ta-da! So I go to action. I don't know if I did that too quickly for you. I click the plus. I have actions, I have flow logics, and I can invoke a subflow. So if I have reusable components that I use over and over, I can populate them there and then quickly implement them. I had one that I was doing for a demonstration on Friday where two places it was repeating the same task. It was doing that update record action to set the state and approval. If I set it up here, it would set the state and approval to A and B. If I set it here, it was C and D. Then a little further, I had another A and B and another C and D. It was update record, update record, update record, update record. So I made a subflow that simply had that one action in it. Update the record to A and B. And another subflow that said update the record to B and C. Now I can repurpose those. And if somebody says, oh, by the way, we also want, instead of just setting A and B, I want X and Y also set in that same. It's like, great, I'll change it. It's a reusable component, just like coding a function, just like we're making any other subflow. You can reuse that component, and you can tweak it, and it will have impact wherever it's invoked. So long story about that. Let's go back to the action menu, and I'm going to go to the ServiceNow core, look up records. And it comes up with a couple of things. First, what table do you want to look up in? I want to look up in the requested item table, which is SC_REQ_item, or as I often say, SC_rec item. And I want the condition where the state is something. His would be occupied. Mine is going to be open. And I think that's it. I don't need to worry about the active flag. I don't need to worry about the date. I don't need to worry about that counter being part of the condition because I'll take action on that and change the state when the counter gets to 3, for example. So let's go look up all of the records where that happens. Done. And for each record, this is where I go to the flow logic and say for each. And notice over here on the right-hand side, get my cursor over there, right-hand side, as I build these activities, I'm getting more data that I can access. The output of that for each is a list of records. So I want to take my requested item records and drag it into here. My mouse is being a little goofy. I don't know why. We'll find that out. Maybe it needs a charge. We'll see. That's it. For each of those records, I go into this little sub-branch here. So I have a smaller plus where I can add more actions. And I want to, actually, you know what? I want to do an if condition on that record. So if and I've got now action 2, which is up here, the for each item, has its data pill for each record. Let's just take the count. I'm thinking about what order I want to do this in. I want to look at the records. They're going to have a value of 0, 1, or 2. So the first time through the loop, the count is going to be 0. I'm going to, let's increment that first, and then we can assess 1, 2, or 3. Because when somebody comes back and says, how many times has this been reminded? You want them to look at the record and see that it's been reminded once. I could either do that after I send the notification or before. I'm going to send it before because if the count gets to 3, well, maybe not. If the count gets to 3, we don't want to close it. But if I increment it before, this is where you got to think about how you want to do things. Then and I'm sort of thinking on the fly. This is seat of the pants right now. Let's send the notification first. So we know that it's already less than 3. Then we'll increment it, but we don't want to increment it, send a notification, then close it. That would be cruel. Then they can't take action on it. Okay, that would not work. Okay, so just thinking out loud again. Let's do the flow logic again. Back to if. We'll change this if we have to. It's not that hard. So for each record, I want the condition where the reminder count. Now I can either do this scroll thing, or I can use this little data pill picker here. Some people call it cannonball, martini glass. I've now heard meatball. That makes three food-based things we have. We have a hamburger menu, a kebab menu. That's this little guy over on the right. And now a meatball. So a lot of food to think of. I go into the trigger record. No, I'm sorry. I want to go into the for each record, requested item, and now I can type, was it reminder count? Reminder count. There it is. Okay. So when the reminder count is, let's first check if it's 3, because I would have incremented it after the last reminder. If they didn't respond yesterday after 3 reminders, that's a problem. So if the reminder count is 3, yeah, I think that's going to work. Then I'm going to go down this branch, which is a sub-branch of the other one, and update the record. Very simply, I'm going to take that same request record, drag it out here, it fills in the table for me, and set the state to closed incomplete is what he said. That's it. That branch is now done because I would have looked up a record, said, oh, you've been reminded 3 times, you're out. Okay. If not, then here's where I got to figure out what to do. I want to send the notification. So let's go to, trying to remember where it was. I think it's under global. No, it's under, I swear it was here. Send email. There it is. Send email that says all the particular things. Maybe I want to, it's something to do with requested for in here. I want a reminder of the notification set to requested for. There we go. Easy to do. So in Flow Designer, I go back to my data pill picker and I get my for each record requested item, and it's going to be on the request record, which is linked. This is dot walking at its best. Parent request record and requested for. That's who I want to send it to. Subject is RITM. Which RITM? Well, I can go and get the number off of that, or I can get the short description in the same way. For each record, request item. In fact, I could just put that on there. Yeah, I could just put that on there because the display value will come up right. Is still occupied. You make the subject, that's a nice way to spell occupied. You make the subject, you make the flow. Okay, please take a look. You'll want to get to this before the reminder count gets to 3. How menacing. Okay, whatever notification you want to put in there, go ahead, do that. So send that email. Then I'm going to increment the counter. Let me do a save there because I need to stop and create this custom action. This is the part you've all been waiting for, right? I only have a limited set of things that I can pick from this action list. And fortunately, I made one before to do simple integer math, but I'm not going to do that one. I'm going to show you a quick and dirty full blast approach. If I'd chosen the one that I did before, let me just show you an example of that. How it's exposed on that. See the bow tie? That's mine. Simple integer math. I can say take the for each record reminder count and put that in number 1. Okay, reminder count plus 1. And the output of that is going to be an answer. So if it's 0, it's going to be 1. If it's going to be 1, then I would update the record with that new value. Put that back into the record. However, I'm not going to do that with this one. Let me trash that because I want to show you how to make a new action. New action is done from either the home screen where you can say new action. These are like activities on a workflow. Or if I'm over here, there's a plus. I can also do a new action on this menu as well. See that up at the top? Oop, there. New action. Just noticed something that I need to get back to the developers. Little pedantic thing. Let's just call this increment count. This would be my increment count. It's going to go in the global action, a global application, or I could put it into my CTUtil spoke. If you create a new scope for your spokes. It makes them very versatile, easy to move around, easy to keep track of. And if you use the suffix spoke on the end, as I have in this application, it will show up in the menu without the word spoke, because you're looking at a menu full of spokes. So what's the point in putting spoke, 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 spoke on the end of everything? So the system says, you know what, I'm not going to put that in the menu for you. I'm smarter than that. But it allows me to identify this application as a ServiceNow Flow Designer or Integration Hub spoke. That's where that name comes from, rather than any of these. Oh, look, there's another one, Customer Service Spoke. Are there any others? You can look around and see what's on your instance for that information. But for sake of just running this, I'm going to type global. Keep it under the, it will appear under the global menu. I want it available to all application scopes. This isn't specialized, and I do want this to be invoked from other places. The category is a grouping underneath there. So if you looked closely when I was in the ServiceNow core, there were some things at the top, there were some things in the middle. They were divided up, and I can categorize these very, very easily. If I use the magnifying glass, up comes a reference field. I'm going to create a new category and call this CLS Demo, for example. And I order it just like you would expect, 100, 200, 300. Where is it going to show up? I now have a CLS Demo category. I'll show you where that's exposed. This brings me to the Action Designer. Now, the Action Designer is made up of a series of steps. This is going to be a very trivial case, but what I have on the front end and back end are inputs that I'm prompting the user for and outputs that I'm sending back. In the case of doing that simple integer math, you saw the inputs were two numbers and an operator. The output was answer. That is what I'm going to expose to my no coder. So my input here, let's add a new input. I need to put this away for just a second so I can get this. My font is a little large. And call this number. What do we want to increment? Let's add the number. It's going to be an integer, which is important because you can only put integer variables or integer fields into an integer action variable. I can't put a floating point in here. It will say, wrong data type. It doesn't let you mix and match data types. Whereas JavaScript is loosely typed, Flow Designer is a little smarter about that. I'm going to make it mandatory because without the number, you're not incrementing anything, and this action would be kind of pointless. So let's make that mandatory, and that's it. That's what I'm going to expose. I like this nice user-friendly label with uppercase N. It looks nice when it comes out onto the flow to say, what do you want me to increment? Let's also create a new step. So in this step, I'm going to run a script down here. And my script is going to run on the instance. It's not going to run on a mid server or anywhere else. And I'm going to need that variable, which I am simply going to call num. This is where you're talking to programmers. I'm in a script step. I'm using variables, and that variable is going to come from, you guessed it, my input variable. And it will say, this is the action. I'm going to collapse this again. Same kind of data panel concept as you saw in Flow Designer. Comes from the action, and it uses the number, you can tell with a capital N, and it saves it in this local variable. Now down in my script, I have this function execute, which has inputs and outputs. The inputs, you got it, are going to be everything that's listed up here is available to me. And it could come from another step, such as a REST API getting an authorization token or a JSON payload, whatever. It's up to you. This is where I start my processing. And I'm going to start by ensuring that inputs.num is a number, because it can cleverly be concealed as an object, and I can't just increment an object. I'm not going to make any assumptions, so I'm going to use the JavaScript method parse int on inputs.num and make sure that it's a decimal number, because if it's null or empty, it's going to get weird. So this validates that I have a base 10 integer in my variable n. Then simply increment it, n++, and now I want to throw it back out to the user, and I have to do that in a two-step process. One is get it into a variable that the action can see, and then I expose it to the user. So first step is outputs.answer, or let's just be a little different, result equals n. That's the end of my script. 3 lines. Make sure you have an integer, increment it, and return it. That's pretty much it. Then when I get down to the outputs, this is where I pass it back to the user. And I'm going to call this one answer. It doesn't have to match. I called it result in the script. Doesn't matter. This is where I map that back to my data panel. Oh, you know what I forgot? It's not going to show up as output variables because it's not going to show up in the script step as anything I can use because I didn't define it. Back on the script step. First of all, let's rename this. Script step is generic. You can double click up here or actually click in that box and rename it and say increment number. Okay? That makes it a little more user friendly. And then down here under outputs, I have to create a variable. I do this a lot. I always forget this one. And call this one result because that's what I called it up here. This name has to match this name. Result is going to be an integer. Ting. There we are. Now it's known to other steps. If I don't do that, other steps, which technically outputs isn't a step, but you get the idea. Now I can find this as the increment number result. That's the step it came from, increment number. That's why it would have said script step before. And that, again, as trivial as this is, it really doesn't matter a whole lot, but I like to be complete in that. So I save that. Oh, I didn't finish my job. Yes, I did. Answer is that one. And I publish it. If I don't publish it, I can choose not to publish so that other people don't know about this yet. I would go to the kebab menu and say configurations, show draft actions. I would need to turn that on in order to see that unpublished action. But now that it's been published, I'm going to send the email and then go to my action menu. Underneath global, there's my CLS demo category. So if I do this over and over and I have lots of different categories and I want to group them together, these are my mathematics functions. These are my trigonometric functions. These are my whatever, okay? My integration to Experian or Yahoo or YouTube or whatever. You can break them up as subcategories within your spoke. So let's go to increment count. I pick that, and of course, there is my number field. Okay. Interestingly enough, if you click this action, you don't have to get rid of it. This brings up the action menu again. I often wonder why it says action when I already picked increment count. It allows you to change it without having to delete it and come back. So my number, you guessed it, is going to be from the lookup record. So from the for each requested item, I'm going to pass it the reminder count. It's currently 0. It should increment it to 1. Once I have that number back, it shows up in the data pill picker as the increment count action output as answer. Remember, I pass it a number, I get back an answer. And I want to update the record so that it's incremented. Very simple stuff. I mean, we're dealing with very discrete, specific components, and that's the way Flow Designer should work so that you can reuse these over and over again. Let's go and take this record here, drag it over there. That's the record I want to increment, and I want to set the reminder count to that answer. Ta-da! That's it. I is done. So let's work through this again. Go and look up the records where the state is open. Oh, you know what I forgot? I don't really wanted to do that. Oh, no, I already closed it. Did I? I said updated record, state is closed and complete. Okay, working through the flow in my head. Look up all the records. Currently, I only have one. It's open and it has a reminder count of 0. So it says, go get all the records where the state is open. That should yield me 1 record. If the reminder count is 3, then we're going to close it because we've already reminded them yesterday for the 3rd time. The first day it will come through as 1, second reminder increments to 2 after the notification is sent. So it sets the notification, then increments the counter, then waits another 24 hours, comes back here and says, hey, it's 3. I've got to close this. There's no good will come of this. You've been reminded 3 times, 3 days in a row at 7 a.m. Sends the email, then increments the count. from 0 to 1, 1 to 2, that's on day 2, 2 to 3 on day 3, and then on day 4, it's going to say, hey, you're already at 3, I'm closing it. So that works, and that's the part that actually increments. Nothing else happens after this for loop. I could have, I could log a message saying, hey, we're done, life is good. Let's save that. Now my use case is very, very simple. I am going to run test. There is a test button up here on Flow Designer, which makes it very powerful and very easy to figure out, is this thing even running? It's a scheduled job, so it's not going to prompt me for any record. I click Run Test, and I should see that it gets 1 record and increments the value. Flow has been executed. To view, click here. And I have an error. Well, this is intriguing. Where is the error? Parse int. I spelled parse int wrong. Didn't anybody catch me on that? How to give an image field in the catalog form. You could create an image field. You're looking for an image variable or an image field? You're going to have to catch me on that one. All right, so something bad happened. I got an error that says parse int is not your friend. And that is my issue. Back here on the increment count, I simply lowercase that p. I'm really surprised the syntax error didn't jump up in my face, but it is what it is. Save it, publish the latest version. Oh, go back to the request reminder, cancel. It's got a refresh. It actually reloaded the new action. So even though you can't see any visual difference, maybe I had another input parameter that would now show up that I have to fill in. Let's test it again. Run the test. Run. Always a good feeling when it takes just a little longer. And we have, it's waiting. It's waiting for what? Okay. Waiting for something. Let's go in here. We can click increment count to see if our step is running right. Our input was 0, our output was 1. Update record, changed the uReminder count to 1.0. I love how it adds a little floating point thing on there. If we go back to this record, we should see it reload the form, and hopefully it has a 1 in this field. It does not have a 1 in the field. What happened? This was reminder, or RITM number 1. Let's make sure that's the record we're working on. So up here we have, which one? Reminder count is 3. That evaluated to false, so it's not going to do that branch. This waiting kind of worries me. What's it waiting for? It upgraded the increment. What record did it have? I want to see the record. You got requested item records for each. If the item count, which request item? Oh. This is interesting. My increment is working, but the question is, what record is it using? It doesn't appear to be using any record. Configuration, item details. Table name is screc item. Template value. Where is my... It doesn't look like it's actually working on a record. Oh, you know why? Because this is in state open. What did my condition say? Look up records. Let's go back to this. Cancel. Look up records where state is open. Okay, I thought I had pending in there. Why did this not return the record for this? That is an intriguing result. I'm going to have to dig into that. Unfortunately, it's at the end of the show. Question from Rapam, how to reach out to you directly for questions. If it's related to ServiceNow, I would recommend putting it in the community. Unless it's a question specific to me, something... definitely put it in the community. You'll get more experts. I'm only on here for about an hour a day. And while I enjoy it, it's not my full-time job to monitor the community. You will get wonderful people like Michael Fry and Jim Coyne and Goran Lundquist, Kalai. Lots of great experts in the community. Pradeep Sharma, of course. that can jump in and help you with that, well, I'm not online. I've seen a lot of people that I haven't seen in a while starting to get back into the community and appreciate it very, very much. So I recommend, if you've got a ServiceNow question, please put it there. If you've got something specific to me, a question, hey, where do you live? Something that's not going to be answered in the community about the platform, about a product, then you can certainly email me, chuck.tomasi@servicenow.com. But if you send me a ServiceNow related question, I'm going to redirect you in email back to the community. It's just a better place for you to get answers, for me to continue doing what I'm paid to do. Don't mean to sound harsh on that, but that is the question. All those alerts mean that it is time for me to go. I have enjoyed our time together today. Thank you for joining me. Be sure to click like if you found something useful, helpful, interesting, mildly entertaining in this video. Click the like button or the helpful in the community, and I appreciate it. So with that, I bid you farewell. Take care. Have a great holiday season if I don't talk to you again soon. Otherwise, I look forward to talking to you again tomorrow. Bye.